So, kids, what are we talking about? Music?
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Let's talk about music. We've talked about everything else already. I've been up since 8 a.m. So, I want you both to introduce yourselves and what you do in the music community on YouTube.
I am Meghan Tonjes. My YouTube username is Tonjes ML. I do a weekly series called Request Tuesday, and then I work with DFT Band.
My name is Ethan Curtis. I'm a professional songwriter, producer. Project I'm most proud of is I wrote Friday for Rebecca Black. Just kidding.
I was about to be like, seriously?
I was very heavily involved with YouTube artist Avery, now Universal Recording artist. I'm also COO of LaunchMob, sponsor of this wonderful event, and helped to organize some aspects too.
That's wonderful. So what does LaunchMob do?
LaunchMob is a marketing and branding firm specializing in content marketing.
Oh, you are? Sorry. Hi.
Hi, Lori.
Everyone, please welcome Lori.
Hey, Megan, she's eating. She kind of tried to get here.
Oh. Well, we have one Megan, so it's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I can say it again.
Sorry,
we're a marketing and branding, I got it down, it's okay. We're a marketing and branding firm that specializes in content marketing.
Nice. So what kind of marketing do you provide to YouTube partners?
Well, we're just getting involved with YouTube recently. I just became a part of the company. But really the idea with LaunchMob is more to assist with companies.
Very cool. And Lori, can I ask?
Yeah.
Yes. So I have not met you, and I'm pleased to have you on the panel. What do you do with music and YouTube?
I am in music development. And
there we go. Megan, Strawberry 17. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Lori.
No, yeah, I work with young artists, usually very early, sometimes before they have even the first song. I worked early with Paramore, Cage the Elephant, Hey Hi Hello more recently, and a couple of others. And I've actually been helping a little with Austin Mahone. I don't know if you guys know him.
Yes, of course.
So yeah, that's fun. It's a really fun thing that I get to do.
So do you help them out in managerial or in growth?
Well, you know, management takes on so many different forms and fashions depending on what is needed at the time. But oftentimes the talent's so young that they have natural talent. They may not have songs yet. They may not have a team yet. They may not even have musical direction. So it can be any or all of that.
Very cool. And Megan, I want you to introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know who you are.
Okay. Hi, I'm Megan Camarina, Strawberry 17 on YouTube. Do you want me to tell about myself?
Yes.
I help promote new music. I work together with bands and record labels like Warner, Sony to kind of bridge that gap and cross-promote. Yeah.
And how did you fall into that?
Well, I started looking for unsigned bands and artists to promote just because I could put AdSense on my videos, and it did super well. I don't know if you guys are familiar with All City, but I helped promote him before he got on the radio, and his second single was a song that I promoted, Vanilla Twilight.
Nice.
So kind of bridging that gap there and working together with the labels where YouTube is kind of a weird foreign thing to them, and I'm trying to make that a little bit more possible. So.
And you just put out a great video with the Hunger Games.
Oh,
yeah. What was that whole process like of making that album and making that music video?
That was crazy because I'm used to just lip dubbing and kind of promoting music, so to actually.
But you actually sang this.
I did, yeah, with Joey Graceffa and Luke Connard. We're huge Hunger Games fans. Like I don't know if you guys are too, but like we were geeking out. And it was just an idea me and Joey had. But then over the past like 6 months, it's developed into, you know, what it is now, the full album and the music video. So it's a blast.
It seems like it's easier to, you know, kind of have an idea for a music video and shoot it than to do an album. I mean, what made you want to make a whole album based around Hunger Games?
That was a process and a half. Well, people do it.
And a half?
And a half. People do it for Wizard Rock. So we're like, why don't we do something called like, what do we call it? Rocking Jay? Because there's Mocking Jay. We call it Rocking Jay. Like, we should totally do it. And we did. We're just huge nerds, and we felt like, you know, this is our opportunity. Neither of us are going to be venturing into music, so we might as well have an excuse to do it with something that we both love.
And Megan, for you, YouTube Next Up winner. So what have you taken from YouTube Next Up winning that and those resources into building your brand as a musician?
I paid off a lot of student debt. That's the first thing I did. For me, oh yeah, so for me, going to the week-long classes and everything was really interesting, and you were there too, and we learned so much about like engaging your audience, which is hard. Sometimes I think doing music, you put out a video, and you're doing music, and you forget that there are all these other factors that go along with it. And I think that that money allowed me to, I was living in Michigan, move out of Michigan, and go east, maybe eventually west, and it's kind of allowed me to live a life where now I can focus more on writing music and making videos and touring and playing shows, as opposed to worrying about paying all my bills and doing all these different things that, came before.
Right, so how much do you tour now?
Tour, I'm actually on tour right now, so with Mike Falzone, who was the man in the Batman mask earlier today. I peer pressured him into doing that. We toured down here, and yesterday was actually crazy because we woke up in Myrtle Beach, we drove to Savannah, did a show, and then we drove to Orlando and got here at like 4 in the morning. So
impressive.
Tour has become a thing where I'll go home for like a month or two, I work on videos, I work on music, and then we kind of just go on the road for a month, and we go wherever we can and play shows. So touring has become really a way of life and just a way of promoting what we're doing. So.
Interesting. So are you working on an album currently?
I've written I think the next 2 albums. But I'm getting
You're
so
a little ahead of yourself.
I know, I'm way ahead of myself. I used to I'd write a song and then I'd put it up right away because I wanted that immediate do you like it?
Right.
And I've become better at writing songs and kind of taking my time with them and trying to play them live as much as possible on tour, so I know what I'm getting into, because when you're playing it live every night, you know how you want that song to sound.
Right.
So the plan is after tour to go home in May, spend that month recording an album by myself, and then hopefully have that out for VidCon.
Wow, yeah. Ambitious.
Yeah, trying.
And so Ethan, how do you view the YouTube music community right now? Because music is something that kind of YouTube started with. I feel like music was the first big community on YouTube, and then everything else kind of came after, and now it's back, kind of coming into its own again.
Yeah, I think it's amazing the things it's done for the industry. I mean, obviously it makes the industry much more accessible. It also helps people to realize that aren't so good at it. They're not.
Right.
It's made it the job of management much more difficult. I remember many times sitting in the studio with Avery for 2 hours trying to figure out what the next tweet's going to be because we haven't tweeted today, and it turned out being, I'm eating cupcakes and they're so good, and we get 500 replies. And everyone loves cupcakes too.
Yeah. She likes cupcakes. I'm gonna buy that out.
Yeah. So that 24/7 access, to your personal brand, it's oh man, it's tiring, but it's amazing because it's also a gift because you're constantly in touch with your fan base. I think it's an amazing tool, one of the best things that's happened in decades for the industry.
That's awesome. And Meghan, in working a lot with record labels, do you ever, what are the hurdles and the trials to go through that? Because for a while there on YouTube, labels really hated YouTube. It was a very difficult place to be a musician. I think that's why the music community kind of suffered a little bit in 2-3 years ago. How much better is it now?
It's actually, I feel like this is where it was a couple years ago. It's right there now. It could be here, but it's a little bit right here.
Yeah.
We're working really hard on trying to let people see the benefits of it. YouTube, everyone goes to YouTube. It's right under number 2 as the search engine, under Google.
Yeah.
So if your music is on YouTube, no matter what fashion it's in, people are gonna see it. As a musician, a record label, that is huge. And that's what I'm trying to let them know. It doesn't matter where it's at. Kids are gonna get it for free, but if it's on YouTube, you become more relevant. If it's behind someone's vlog, then, and it goes viral, then they're gonna remember that song that's playing in the back of the vlog.
With clients that you use, are you able to kind of show them the insight and the metadata, and does that help them understand, I did this video promoting your independent artist, it sold this many albums, whereas, your traditional method of trying to distribute it wasn't as successful as my method?
Oh yeah, I bit.ly everything. I include the links to every band that I use, their Facebook, their Twitter, their iTunes, everything, and there's always a huge spike whenever I do that. So they love numbers, they're businessmen. They give me a reason why I should believe in what you're doing, and then, that's the proof's in the pudding.
Right.
Or the views.
Laura, where do you see the future for music going on YouTube and its relationship with more traditional media? How far away are we from a really good bond between YouTube and record labels?
Okay, if you're in the music business, In this audience, raise your hand if you're professional. Okay, so anybody from a label here? Okay, so here's the thing, it's like what Megan's talking about. I sit in meeting after meeting where they have another model and they have another widget and they have Drupal and they have this back end built. But until you immerse yourself into this community and understand and sit down like late at night with these guys, and I'm throwing out ideas that are traditional marketing ideas, because you look at YouTube as a marketing tool when really it is not a marketing tool. It's another planet of human beings and relationships.
It's a whole community.
And you cannot approach what YouTube really has to offer without immersing in the community and fully getting, I mean, you can to a certain level,
right.
But as far as it becoming indigenous to what can really happen with an artist, and even for me now, when I'm looking at young talent, I'm not just looking at the musical and the songwriting and the image. I'm watching them too on how natural are they doing this. Is this like breathing? That's part of the interest, because otherwise the ocean of what they have to swim up through to get anywhere is so difficult for the ones that want to get to that place. You know, if
right.
you want to be a cool artist and do your own vibe, you think that's cool. But if you want to get to that top, this needs to be like breathing and not a job, because like you know, it's just.
If it's not genuine, it's obvious.
Well, to touch on that too, a lot of record labels are looking for bands that are self-sufficient. Yeah. They have a Twitter and a Facebook and their own following before they're signing them. That is becoming like a staple.
Yeah, it's
really?
They don't
yeah.
sign if
yeah.
you don't have an proven, you know.
And Tumblr
but
too.
natural, like a natural thing, kind of like, you know, when these kids are born, on their birth certificate's going to say, what's your Twitter name? What's your Facebook
right.
name? I mean, because it has to be almost that natural. And because that makes the job of just getting the music done so much easier, because that's, okay, you guys got that covered, so that's cool.
That's so interesting to know. That's awesome. So you talked a little bit about DFTDA. For independent musicians that, you know, want to release music, what you know, outside maybe traditional label means, how difficult is that? Like, is DFTDA, you know, the only game in town, or are these, you know, like, how as if I wanted to be a musician on YouTube.
You just wanted to take that microphone out of
I did. So if I want to be a musician on YouTube and release, you know, distribute my music, what's the easiest way for me to do it?
Go to iTunes. No, I did everything myself up until a certain point. I put my first album on iTunes. I went to the post office every day. I signed everything. And that was good, but what happened was you start focusing so much on that you're not focusing on writing songs, you're not focusing on making videos, you're not focusing on touring. And so DFTDA basically approached me saying, you know, we want to help you, we want to see what we can do for you. And it's a record label, but it's more of a distribution deal. So I'm sure I could go to Alan and ask, you know, to invest in a record, but I'm putting all of my own money and time into it, and then they're taking kind of the end of, we're going to send out your shirts, we're going to send out your CDs, we're going to take the things that you want to do and make them happen, like licensing songs, anything like that. So I'm sure there are a lot of other games in town, but for me, I wanted to maintain control over what I was doing, and I like that I can go home tonight, I can write a song, I can have it up next week, like I can make a video, I have all this control. And I think it's interesting like how it changes kind of the distribution model of music, because it's sometimes like, okay, well not in the past, in the present, but you know, you have an artist and you take a year or 2 years to make an album, and then you spend so much time figuring out the promotion for months and how you're going to put out this single and how you're going to have a music video. And on YouTube, you can go home, write a song, make a video, put it up, have an album out next week, do whatever you want. And in some ways I think that's good, because you're letting someone kind of be creative on their own time. And then in some ways it's bad, because, you know, maybe sitting with songs for a year lets you realize what's good and what's not good, and what you want to play for the rest of your life. So I think that you can do it on your own. It's possible, but I think Hannah made an interesting point earlier, is you want to do as much as you can on your own, and then at the point where maybe it starts affecting you negatively, you want to start bringing people in. And I trusted DFTBA, I trusted John Hank Green, I trusted Alan, and I still had the complete control over everything I'm doing. So for me, it's working right now. Who knows where it's going to go, but for me, it's perfect right now.
Wonderful. Well, I just want to take some questions from the audience, if anyone has any. Yes, ma'am?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, so I'm just starting out with music on YouTube, and I was wondering how you got over the fear of it, or just got around like copyright that stuff? Like, were you scared someone was going to take your song or that kind of thing?
Like my own music, take my own music? Well, for me, you know, I think I definitely went into it researching what to do to avoid that. So, like, you can copyright your own music, you can do certain things like that. And speaking to, like, the labels that come in and are very protective over certain things, which they have a right to be. For me, if someone's going to cover my song or if someone's going to use my song in a vlog, to me that's just promoting it. Like, I just had this year in Shay Carl's newest video where he's doing his marathon. That to me is awesome on the level of I get to be a part of something that's really cool. And then there are, you know, thousands of people that are hearing your song. And yeah, people are going to download it for free, people are going to take things, but I have faith in the people that support my career that they're going to like what I'm doing enough to go purchase a 99-cent song or to come see me at a show. And that to me means more than making a ton of money and not having that connection and not being a part of that person's kind of, you know, personal soundtrack to their life. Like, I'd rather be a part of that than be rich and famous and all these other things. So for me, I'm not scared about that kind of thing. And as far as starting out on YouTube, I think I started off in 2006 and I wasn't scared because it wasn't anything yet. Like, I was sitting in the bathroom just singing because I wanted to. And yeah, you get all the negative comments and things that start to affect you. But I think if you just surround yourself with other people who are creative and enjoy doing what they're doing and support you, that you're just gonna want to get better and it's just gonna make you better. So my advice is just to start and don't be scared. Don't be worried about it. You're welcome.
My question's for Megan. Once you have the song that you're going to do, what is your process of figuring out what you want to do for your video?
Oh, like the music video?
Yeah.
This is like the process. I'll get a song and my manager will usually send it to me or I'll do my own research. Then I put it on repeat for like all day. I just listen to it over and over and over again until there's some type of an idea that sparked from that. Usually includes like a hot guy that, I mean, come on, I know my demographic. They like the hot guys, can't complain. But from there, it's just kind of just being creative. I look at other music videos. This is gonna sound ridiculous, but like K-pop and J-pop, they have some of the most amazing music videos ever. And if you ever are kind of wanting to experiment with a different angle or a different feel, I would suggest looking at those videos because they give me a lot of inspiration. But other than that, it's just everything's kind of like in my head, and it's, when it comes out, I never know what's gonna happen. I'm just hoping for the best.
Any more? Yes?
Yes, this is for anyone. What is the current proper way to go about doing cover, like receiving licensing to actually do it on YouTube? Like, is that okay, or do you have to go through some clearances to do that properly?
Well, for me, I do Request Tuesdays, and that's a whole thing. But my way of doing it is now, like with DFCBA, I now have someone that can kind of work on the back end of all that. So I'm going to start doing clearing the songs and putting them on iTunes. So that way, it's more legit the way that I'm doing it. Because I definitely, you don't want to take away from the artists that you're covering, but I think there has to be that fine balance, I think, between them realizing that it's not, you're kind of stealing, I guess, but like, if you can do it in a way that someone hears, I get so many comments from people saying, I've never heard this song before, and I want to go find this artist now. I want to go listen to this entire album.
Well, look at Carmen.
Exactly. So, you know, you're finding music. I found some amazing music just through covers that I never would have found before, just through like fan videos that people make online that get taken down, but like it opens up your mind and everything to a whole new world of music. So it's just about finding a balance, but I'm definitely going through the process right now of trying to get all the clearances and everything for my music so that I'm doing it in a more legit way and giving back to those artists that I'm covering.
Yeah, I've never worked on a project where I found a cover that made me angry. It was always a good thing. You know, someone's covering it.
No, but I know sometimes YouTube would take down a cover.
They
Yeah,
do.
so they
I'm
do
working with an
sometimes.
artist that just got a whole, everything's down right now because of that. So it just kind of,
Is it just,
I can talk to you afterwards. Actually, there's a copyright lawyer in the room. but it's kind of, that's something that I've actually wanted to talk to Kevin about because I think providing a service like that for certain things, because so, I mean, like Tessa, Mickey Kitty, she did the Hello Goodbye cover, and Matt Mahaffey, a friend of mine who produced one of my band stuff, did that record, and if I had known, I could have called and said, hey, let's make a phone call because it's great for everybody. And I think the bands are really in favor of it. Oftentimes the labels aren't, but because they haven't caught up. I think the bands get it, but these other guys.
I think the people covering, I think the people covering the songs too, like we don't want to take the music and run with it and whatever. I would love if every cover I did had a link to their iTunes underneath it to direct you to, and sometimes they do. I have videos where they're like, you know, we noticed that you use, I got a Nickelback one recently, they came after me. They're like, we used a Nickelback song. We're not gonna do anything. It's cool, you can leave it. We're just in case in the future if we want to take it down, we can. So they have the option to do it, but I know that me and other artists would really love to support the people that we're covering. I would love to have a link underneath that to every single one that says, go find so-and-so on iTunes.
Megan, did you have something you wanted to add?
Oh, I forgot.
There can only be one Megan on this panel.
The labels, sorry, my brain. The labels, what they see is you're stealing money from them.
Right.
That's what they see. They don't see the promotion and like how marketing works that way. Because they put hundreds of thousands of dollars into marketing like each year, so they don't see the benefit of promotion. That's why they get all crazy. But I mean, like, we see it differently.
Yeah,
right. Someday we'll see it on the same level. Someday.
One day.
And the last question.
Great, thank you. What I understand, isn't ASCAP the one that allows you to do copyrighted material? And if YouTube is hosting videos, wouldn't they be the ones responsible for like holding that license, or would you get it individually? That holds all the royalties, all the copyright on those things? I'm just curious.
ASCAP doesn't give you the licensing. ASCAP will collect, but that's not who offers up the licensing.
It's the publisher, the record label, the writers.
So you have to deal with the individual, so there's not a collective.
Well, it's kind of hard if you don't have access, you know. I mean, some people like might be able to call like a Harry Fox agency that has clearances across the board. Sometimes the writers have them. It's kind of complicated, and that's why we're kind of talking about an idea for that.
Which should be good.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, well, it's 7 o'clock, so that means it's pool time and dinner time. They'll be here all weekend. Please ask them all of your questions. They'd be more than happy to answer them. Can we get a big round of applause? And that is it for Business Day Playlist Live 2012.